Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be, and however you may be listening. It is a little bit later than I wanted to, but of course, I am going to get this out there. This is the Iowa basketball preview. I actually recorded a pre-preview on the backs of the Big Ten Media Day for basketball and Iowa's exhibition game. Because I didn't end up posting it, I just decided not to post it and just to get this one done, the official version in studio, if you will, rather than in my car. Although I will say, I've been pleasantly surprised with how good the Rode mic does sound in my car. It actually picks up the sound really well. So, I'm not against it. It's just if all things being equal, I would always rather record here because it looks more professional, and that's just how I want to go about it. So, let's dive in to the 2024-2025 Iowa men's basketball team. I'm going to detail who the starters are, which that, unlike previous previews I've done, is not as in question or as much of a prediction as Iowa did have their exhibition game. And we did get to see who their starting five is, unless Fran McCaffrey was totally just throwing caution to the wind and going with a starting five that he's not planning on doing for the regular season, which I don't see that being the case. So it looks like the starting five will look like this. Let me go ahead and share my screen. This is going to be, straight to the point. We're going to dive right into it. It's kind of late where I'm at when I'm recording this. Um, and I'm going to give you guys my predictions and my expectations for this year, plus some of the preseason rankings, some of the preseason expectations by non-Nolan Hawkeye Anthony individuals. So here is, you guys can see here, this is the page that I have for my Iowa football predictions. Um, I had Iowa beating Wisconsin 28-20. Boy, was I wrong about that. And I actually had them losing to UCLA and Ohio State. So hopefully they don't lose to to UCLA, especially if I do decide to go to that game. That's the problem. If you decide to go to a game and spend all the money and your team loses, man, it is rough. And especially for somebody like me, who, even if I travel to LA, it's still 8, 9 hours. Um, brutal. So, or between 6 to 8 hours, I would say that trip is. I mean, it's a long trip. All right. Here is the starting five. We have point guard Brock Harding, sophomore. Uh, According to Fran McCaffrey, he has made some tremendous strides. By the way, guys, if you guys are not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Your boy always has you guys covered. I really would love for this channel to get to 2,000 subscribers. Let's get it. Like, comment. You guys know the drill. Fran McCaffrey has been very vocal in the improvement of Brock Harding. This was one of two positions that was a question mark with the departure of Tony Perkins. May as well put that key departure, Tony Perkins here. Who was going to step in to that point guard role? I still don't consider Tony Perkins a full-blown combo guard or point guard. Uh, but he is more so than a point guard now than he was in the beginning of his career. Um, I did believe that my inclination, my gut told me that Drew Thelwell, the transfer from Morehead State, was going to get the starting nod. He was the winningest player in Morehead State history. Average double digit points, was a high assist guy. He's got good size, 6'3", just a really complete point guard. Um, Physically had the size to play in the Big Ten. Again, a guy that won. My gut told me that he was going to win the point guard position. Now, Fran McCaffrey in the past, when it comes to transfers, uh, it has been kind of 50-50 on them coming to Iowa and immediately starting. There's been, let's see, Rabracha, who was a starter. There was Philip Rabracha, and that was a what I would consider a successful transfer portal get for the Iowa Hawkeyes and Fran McCaffrey. He was very successful, and quite frankly, had Iowa not landed him, Iowa would have been in so much trouble at the center position and probably would not have made the NCAA tournament without Philip Rabracha. Because of, if you guys remember, because of Luca Garza, a lot of the big men that Iowa was after just wouldn't commit because they knew that Luca Garza was going to be Iowa's top guy. And they also did not want to play in the shadow of this historic national player of the year in Luca Garza. So Iowa didn't really recruit the position well. They didn't recruit it poorly, but they didn't recruit it well. The main guys that they landed post Garza was Josh Agundale, who ended up transferring. I'm blanking on where he ended up going. I paid some attention to how he did last year. He didn't really have a ton of success where he went after Iowa. And then Riley Mulvey. Um, and had Iowa not landed Philip Rabracha, the bottom line is they would have just been in massive trouble. The Big Ten is such a physical league. You have to have a serviceable big man that can play night in, night out, who can be a threat offensively and can be a guy that can rebound and get stops occasionally, and play physical and just be a guy that you can count on. So, anyways, Brock Harding, or excuse me, Drew Thelwell, I thought was going to be the starter. He was a four-star transfer portal target by a few of the recruiting services. I thought it was going to be him. But I have been very vocal since I did my video on Owen Freeman. And those of you who have watched me for a long time know that I said this. I said, going back to Owen Freeman's recruiting video when he committed to Iowa, after watching Brock Harding's highlights, that Iowa needed to offer that kid. They did. I was very happy that they did. I have been very high on this kid since he was in high school. I could see his talent right away. I was calling for Iowa to offer him and was very happy when they did. And ultimately, he chose the Iowa Hawkeyes. So, him being the starter, I am not against it. That is just what my gut told me. But I also do believe that Brock Harding is a point guard that Iowa hasn't really had under Fran McCaffrey. Iowa has either had like the Mike Gazelle, who's like a very fundamentally sound, can play defensively, but maybe on the offensive end has some gaps in his game, or like a Jordan Bohannon, where offensively, can shoot the three, is kind of like a one trick pony offensively, but really lacks it defensively. They haven't really had a point guard like Brock Harding that is serviceable on both sides of the ball, is super, super quick, can also shoot. I know he worked on his jump shot in the offseason, but to me, he's always had good shooting form. Um, a lot of people are going to look at him and not think that he's athletic, but believe me, at his size, at 6 foot, 6'1", if he was not athletic, there's no way he'd be playing for the Iowa Hawkeyes and in the Big Ten. Trust me, he is athletic. He's extremely quick. He's just a very like heady basketball player. Um, and let me also say, I always say this in my videos, guys. Basketball was my first love. It was my main sport. I told you guys that one of my travel basketball teammates was Marcus Lee, who ended up playing for Kentucky. So I was a very good basketball player. I know the game very well. Of the two sports that I mainly discuss in basketball and football, basketball is a sport that I'm far more privy and in intellectually intelligent about, just because of my experience with the sport. So I am okay with Brock Harding being the starter. We'll see what happens. He's going to get his shot, just like last year, how Iowa was kind of mixing and matching who would be in the starting lineup. He'll get his shot. He didn't look the best in the exhibition game. And so we'll see what happens. The good news is that Iowa does have a serviceable option in Drew Thelwell off the bench. For what it's worth, though, in the exhibition game, Drew Thelwell didn't really play a lot, which I'm not sure what that means. I don't know if it was just you know, uh, a weird situation with the exhibition game. It was an anomaly. It was an exception rather than the rule. Not only so, even if that is not the exception, and Drew Thelwell is not as um, playable as previously thought, Iowa does have Josh Dix, and Josh Dix, if need be, can take over a large portion of the ball handling duties for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I think that this backcourt for Iowa in Josh Dix and Brock Harding has the ability to be one of the better backcourts, offensively and defensively, that we have seen in the Fran McCaffrey era. I mean, I think about um, Jordan Bohannon when he was with I mean, I guess he was with Tony Perkins for a little bit. He was also with Peter Jock there for a little bit. Um, there was Mike Gazelle and Anthony Clemens in his senior year. Um, I think Josh Oglesby, if you guys remember that guy's name, man, him and Zach McCabe were two of the most frustrating Iowa Hawkeye players of all time. It's hard to remember all the names and all the lineups and stuff like that. You had Isaiah Moss and Jordan Bohannon, but like from an overall perspective of how they impact the game, uh, I do believe that this can be one of, if not the best backcourt that Fran McCaffrey has had. I really do believe that. And that is going to pay dividends when Iowa gets to the NCAA tournament. In the NCAA tournament, you need guys that can handle the rock, that can knock down shots, that can make heady plays, that can put pressure on the defense. Are either of these guys like menaces defensively? No, but they are good enough. They're fine. They're both athletic enough, and they're going to do their job. Hopefully, of course, Josh Dix is the shooting guard. I have super high expectations for him. Yet another player that I have been correct about. I said since Josh Dix was on Iowa's campus that I was very high on him. I could just see it in his game. He's, again, an extremely heady player. He has an extremely high basketball IQ. He's extremely smooth. He can score from all three levels at the rim, mid range, the 3-point line. He is very talented. The next step for Josh Dix is to evolve his game towards being a a guy that can play the point guard when called upon on a more consistent basis. He can do it now, but I'm saying on a more consistent basis. I think Josh Dix has the potential to play in the NBA. I really do. I think he's a very talented player, and his elevation in his game is going to largely determine the success of this season. Of course, Peyton Sandfort, Iowa's leading scorer from last year at the small forward position. Again, I'm just looking for him to evolve his game a little bit, find ways to score when his shot is not falling. At times last year, if his shot was not falling, he kind of went stretches without impacting the game very much. He has to, when you are a scorer, okay, that is the evolution of your game is when your main skill is not falling, how can you find a way to get the ball in the bucket and help your team out by getting to the charity stripe, by getting assists, by being excellent off the ball, like JJ Redick, in your pass and cuts and things of that nature. That is the next way that Peyton Sandfort can elevate his game by all the ways I just said. And so that's really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for him to become a better passer and to find ways to score when his shot is not falling. Power forward, it looks like it's going to be Lajai Dembele. I really like this. I don't think he's a traditional power forward uh, in the sense of the NBA. He's more akin to a small forward at 6'8" when it comes to professional. But for college, he's more than big enough. He's extremely thick. He's got excellent, um, size for his 6'8" frame. He's thick. He's wide. He's broad. I really like his game. I think that Lajai Dembele is possibly one of the most underrated recruits that Fran McCaffrey has landed. And if you look at the immediate impact that he gave Fran McCaffrey, he probably should have been a four-star prospect. So I'm totally good with that. I know a lot of people, of course, because Cooper Coach, aka Cooper Koch, is one of the highest rated Fran McCaffrey recruits. Um, want him to start, but I don't think that he would be. I don't think that that would be what is best for this Iowa roster. They have enough shooting in their starting five. They need a bigger bodied guy that can rebound, that can defend, and can just be a menace physically to opposing teams. That is what they need. Koch, aka Cooper Coach, just isn't there when Peyton Sandfort graduates. Then there will be a spot that is open. Whether it's him that wins it or Price Sandfort, time will tell. But for now, I don't think that he should. That it's in the best interest of this Iowa basketball team for him to be in the starting lineup. And then, of course, center Owen Freeman, sophomore. Um, Physically, he looks much better. He looks more filled out. His biggest thing, again, is expanding his game ever so slightly out of his already established skill set, which is he's very light on his feet. He can get up and down the court very fluidly. He's very bouncy for his size. He's got great hands. He needs to start developing more post moves, a mid range game, and mainly he needs to find ways to be a better defender and to not get so many fouls. That is definitely a problem for him. And even in the exhibition game, he picked up multiple fouls. And so that's something to keep an eye on. But the good news is Iowa, in my opinion, is in a much better position this year to weather that storm of his fouls than they were last year. So, but he needs to stay on the court and be a better defender, have his hands straight up, not get into dicey situations. Here are of course, I said key departure, Tony Perkins, key reserves, Cooper Coach, aka Cooper Koch, aka Cooper Coke. Uh, Power forward Evan Bronze. I think he's going to get some solid minutes this year, which is what I was clamoring for last year. Last year, I was looking at him physically, and I'm like, why is Iowa not playing this guy? This guy is super athletic. He's got a nice frame, nice size. Why are they not playing him for minimum 5-10 minutes a game to give Owen Freeman some downtime? Why are they not doing that? I thought he should have got way more minutes than he did last year. And so I'm glad he has a year to actually get some playing time for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Um, he's played at the Division 1 level. He knows how to play. And this is going to be another under the radar get for the Iowa Hawkeyes that is going to help them out this year. Drew Thelwell, as I admitted, or not admitted, as I stated earlier. Sadao Traore, 6'7", Manhattan, former Manhattan forward. I really like his game. I love that Iowa went to the transfer portal to get a guy that has multiple years of eligibility rather than just one or two. I think his upside is extremely high. And, we'll see. I think he's going to make an impact for the Iowa Hawkeyes this year. Not consistently, but there will be multiple games where Iowa can use a spark plug off the bench that's athletic, that can defend and can put pressure on the opposing defense by being active on the glass, slashing to the rim, running up and down the court, rim running, and getting buckets that way. Price Sanford, really looking forward to his game improving as well. And then Chris Taggio. So just my final analysis on this. And then, of course, Riley Mulvey, center. He is still a scholarship center. It's almost crazy to me that he's still on the roster. But I guess if I was in his position, I'd stay on scholarship myself too. Um, how I think that this year is going to go. Of course, you have the starting five. All of them are going to play a lot. Um, as far as the reserves go, it's really just going to depend on the game. If Iowa needs shooting, I think obviously they'll go to Cooper Coach and Price Sanford more. If I were to well, let me backtrack. If they need more defensive guys, they're going to go to Evan Bronze and Sadao Traore and probably Drew Thelwell. Um, if I were to put them in order of like the first guy off the bench, the second guy off the bench, the third guy off the bench, fourth guy off the bench, I'd probably say that it is Price Sanford one. I'd probably go Drew Thelwell two. Um, and then I'd probably put Cooper and Evan tied. They're probably about the same. They'll probably play, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes a night, depending on the game. And then Sadao Traore, he's the X factor. He's the guy that it's going to vary from game to game. There's going to be some games where he doesn't see the floor, and there's going to be some games where Iowa literally needs him for 10 to 15 minutes because they need his defensive and athletic ability. All right, guys, let's look at the BPI ranking for Iowa. The BPI ranking that they have is let's see, 45th, which is not too bad, with a rating of 11.6. They're a little bit lower on Iowa compared to other places. Iowa State is ninth. Illinois is 15th. Michigan State is 18th. Nebraska 26, Wisconsin 28, just to name some Big Ten teams. Oregon 39th. Northwestern 43rd, Maryland 44th, UCLA 40th, and then Iowa 45th. And then what is this over here? REM, remaining strength of schedule. So Iowa's strength of schedule going into the year is the 49th toughest schedule in the country. Let's look at KenPom, see where they rank Iowa coming into this year. 31st with the 12th best offense and the 77th best defense. And I got to tell you, I think that that's accurate. I do. Uh, if Iowa can finish 77th in defensive efficiency this year, they will definitely make the NCAA tournament. They need to just be top 90. If they can be top 90 by the end of the year in defensive efficiency, I would consider it a marked improvement from last year and good enough to make the NCAA tournament. Now, what they should be based off of the athletic ability, size, and talent that they have, I would say top 80. That is what I would go with. And then of course 12th offensively, I think that's about accurate, but I could see Iowa jumping into the top 10 um, just because Fran McCaffrey has some of the best has the best one of the best offensive systems in the entire country. And then lastly, Bart Torvik has, and their 2025 projection has Iowa 43rd behind Oregon that is at 42nd. That's more akin to ESPN BPI. Wisconsin is 40th, Michigan 34th, Ohio State 33rd, Indiana 30th, UCLA 24th. They're much higher on UCLA. Illinois 21st, Rutgers 19, Michigan State 18, Purdue 17. So the Big Ten is really good this year, of course. Iowa State is third. Let's go and see what they have. I would next time I need to write down, I'm going to write down from this year moving forward the preseason rankings, and I'm going to have to see over the next couple of years which one is more accurate when all is said and done on a year in year out basis in ranking Iowa. That's what I need to do. I guess if I had the time, I really could because they have previous seasons on the books. I really probably could figure that out um, with past data rather than future data. But and then for offense, they have it's hard for me to see. Iowa as 15, and they have their defensive rating as 91st coming into the year. So, and then talent, let's see where they rank on talent. I'm curious what that is. They're actually pretty high on talent. They are, what is that, 59th? No. Oh, here it is. So they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38th in talent in their talent rating for Bart Torvik. All right, guys. Lastly, just to wrap this up, what are my preseason expectations? I am very high on this basketball team. I think they are really talented. I don't think that they are getting the preseason buzz that they should. I think they have not only do they have an all Big Ten performer in Peyton Sandfort returning, but they have a lot of guys that were really coming on at the end of the year. What's very interesting about this team is how much young talent that this team has. I mean, if you, as I showed you guys, in the starting five, they have three sophomores, three guys from last year's starting class or last year's freshman class. And just for like a future reference point, this team, if not this year, but next year is going to be very talented, very, very talented. The number one strength, but even this year, they're still talented. Okay. Um, and really what is going to determine this year's success is the development of guys like Owen Freeman, Josh Dix, Lajai Dembele, Brock Harding. What in their next major year of starting experience, how much better have they improved? The main two guys that I would say would be Josh Dix and Owen Freeman. Those are the two main guys that need to take major steps forward. And what the Iowa media is dubbing it is the Iowa Big Three of Peyton Sandfort, Josh Dix, and Owen Freeman. The strength of this Iowa team is their forward position. They are and Fran McCaffrey has done this purposefully, loading up and this is really what basketball is moving more towards, which is only having a few guard guys on your roster, 2 to 4 scholarship guard guys. But the bulk of your scholarship guys, and this is definitely what Fran's trying to do, is devoted to forwards, small forwards, power forwards that are interchangeable, 6'6" to 6'9" guys that are wing guys that give you versatility, that can shoot, that can defend, that are athletic, things like that. If you look at Iowa, you look at it, Peyton Sandfort, Lajai Dembele, you have a diversity of talent there. Then you go to their bench, Cooper Coach, Evan Bronze. Evan Bronze, even though he's size wise more like a forward, he's probably going to be the guy that goes in to give Owen Freeman a breather. Um, but Cooper Coach, Sadao Traore, Price Sanford, Chris Tajow, those are all guys that are 6'7" to 6'9", and they all have different skill sets. So that is definitely the strength of this team. Um, I think that Iowa is an NCAA tournament caliber team. I think they have the talent. Again, the question is, will they improve defensively? I think the goal for Iowa, of course, is always to win 20 games. I think that this Iowa team can win. My prediction would be 21 or 22. I think Iowa can win 21 or 22 games this year. And that is what my expectation is. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share. You guys know the drill. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. In facts or feelings, because your feelings just matter. The Hawks will be on the court Monday, November 4th, I believe. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Love you guys. And of course, go Hawks. Bye bye.